So I've been training on again and off again for these past few months, and I'm starting. And like the place I'm training at is actually starting to host shows now. And I mean, well, it's been hosting shows. It's having its fourth show this upcoming Saturday, and obviously I'm not on the card because I'm still a trainee. So there's that. But but because I'm a trainee, I get a chance to actually go to the show, sort of study the event, study how matches work and stuff like that. And it's you get a chance to sort of see specifically how a match is done up close and personal. Plus in the time that this event has been doing the shows, I've had the chance to meet Kid Cash, Carlito, the Hughes brothers, Devon's twins, TNT, and now it's starting to it's starting to get in my head that it's like I'm actually now part of the wrestling scene to some extent. I mean, I'm not a wrestler yet, but I'm getting there, and it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling to be able to say that I spoke to Carlito, the first show that I had. Brogan Finley, Dominic Stuckey, like just a whole bunch of like these local talented individuals and stuff like that, and just sort of see specifically where they're at and who they are. That's people behind, from the other side of the barricade. It's cool, man. It really is. And also, it's fun to train. It's fun to train. But it's like, I'm at that point now where, like, if I was at a younger age, I probably would have said to myself, oh, I'm definitely ready to go into the ring. Put me in there and I'll have good matches and whatever. But it's like now I'm starting to realize, yeah, I'm making a little too many mistakes. I'm going to just hang back and train as long as I can so I can get everything situated. The weather has been my worst enemy when it came to training, though, because like it's been storming the past few weeks, and I don't like driving out in the rain. And I realize now, like looking at that, I'm starting to realize at some point I'm going to have to do that. Whenever I do, become a wrestler, I'm going to probably be finding myself driving through a storm in order to get to where I need to go to. And I just got to overcome that fear because I don't like driving in the storm. I don't like driving in the rain. I don't like driving in anything I don't like driving in any form of precipitation. Yeah. But at some point I'm going to have to. And that's the part that's stressing me out a little bit. In the process, though, like I said, the events have actually been sort of like making a reasonable... Like, the second event was quite possibly the most full event because we were like... It was a packed house. We had to like get chairs from the back to like seat other people in. It was ridiculous. Then the third event, like I want to say that was around a time where a whole bunch of shows was doing some at the same time. So it was like the event itself is just starting. The company itself is just starting, and so now you're starting to see like all of these like wrestlers and stuff like come out and things like that, and it's wild. It's a crazy thing. So now like I said, I'm just happy to know that I'm part of this now. It feels good to be included. So, it's going to make it even easier to go back to Texas and become a reality of wrestling wrestler. Because at the end of the day, that's the goal. I think I said this before. AEW is doing all the right things. They really are. Like, my roommate was talking to me about this, and he brings up a good point. They're starting to, WWE is starting to wane, and people are starting to see that. And AEW is sort of like cashing in on the novelty of, keeping fans like hype off of certain things. Like, if you like nostalgia, you got the Hardys. If you like, if you got like good wrestling, you have all of these talented wrestlers. If you like, AEW is kind of just sort of like doing what it can with what it has, and like once you take away the billionaire, the billionaire coming in and just sort of like helping out with everything, the company itself is just doing extremely well in multiple fronts. And I'm not necessarily saying that WWE isn't doing great. I'm just saying that, like, for 20 or so years, I used to hear fans be like, I'm never watching WWE again because it doesn't do this, it doesn't do that, nah, 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 nah. And, like, now it's like, now you kind of, I mean, you got like all these other alternative companies. Put up or shut up. You know, Ring of Honor is going to be a weekly show now. So there's that. I think the thing that's got me kind of like lit up about AEW is the fact that it's in Georgia. So it's like the better I do in Georgia, the better my chances are at going to AEW. Like at least as a guy who loses a lot or something, you know. But I kind of, I'm starting to like focus more on the smaller companies like Terminus, Universal, and Reality of Wrestling. I don't want to say Reality of Wrestling is a smaller company because the guy who owns it is a WWE legend. But it does sort of like say something about wrestling that like now you have like all of these options, you have all of these things, and like now AEW is sort of showing us that by bringing in wrestlers like Keith Lee and legit Layla Hirsch and Red Velvet and Orange Cassidy. It used to be the template of being a wrestler back in the day was a tall, kind of chubby white guy, and now that's not the case. So you're starting to see that wrestlers can be big, fat, short, tall, man, woman, white, black, whatever. Like the concept is anybody can be a wrestler, and the annoying thing is that fans look at this and go, "Nah, you gotta fit a certain mold. You have to look a certain way," and it's like, what way is that? Because let's not forget, Orange Cassidy defeated Chris Jericho. Orange Cassidy, I'm pretty sure I weigh more than Orange Cassidy does, and he beat a legend. Chris Jericho is like not just a walk in the park, bro. Then you got big guys, you got big chubby guys who ain't, who don't look like, like you look at them and they don't look like buff people. But you look at Keith Lee and do you really think that I don't really think you're gonna just win a fight against Keith Lee. One thing I don't like about fans right now is that they really 100% believe, they're projecting all of their negative qualities onto wrestlers. They want wrestlers to look a certain way or be a certain way. And it's like, well, they're not. Deal with it. And I should know because once I get in there with this big old belly and this weird chest and these weird shoulders and these spindly arms, and I'm gonna go up in there and I'm gonna probably be flipping. Deal with it. I want to just go ahead and take this time to point out another thing too. I feel like by nature humans were meant to be fatter in this day and age because you have to think, humans had to eat in the prehistoric times, in the time before seasoning and cooking. People used to probably just eat raw meat and eat raw plants and eat mushrooms and eat whatever they could to survive. And those things probably tasted terrible. So you had these people eating this food and walking long distances to go to wherever the food would be found at next. You know what I'm saying? But nowadays, we have conveniences. We have things we have cars. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to walk everywhere. We don't have to run everywhere. We have cars. Our food tastes better. We're starting to actually enjoy food for the taste and not just because we want it. I mean, it's so much stuff that goes into this concept of eating and luxury and like just things like that. So it's like I honestly 100% believe that human beings ultimately were supposed to get fatter, and the better food tastes and the more we devote our energy into being comfortable and sitting down and things like that, the fatter we're going to become. So professional wrestlers who have to do cardio all in their matches, it just makes sense for them. It kind of makes sense for them to be at least a little chubby because food still tastes good, and these are still people who probably enjoy doing things that they don't live every second of their day working out. And sometimes if you slack, you're gonna get that pouch back. So yeah, I just really wish that fans could just look at these wrestlers and at least get inspired on the concept of, hey, if that person can do it, maybe I have a shot. Instead of saying, oh, that person is too short to wrestle, that person's too tall to wrestle, that person's too fat, blah, 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 blah. You know? But that's just me, though. That's just my perspective. That's it, though. Love and peace. Be safe. And rest alone.